Hi everybody, Ben Murphy here with the Deuce Kirk team and Keller Williams in Greater Lexington. Welcome back to Living in Lexington. In this video, we're actually going to step just outside of the city and we're going to go talk about a small community called Versailles. When I work with clients from out of state who are talking about moving to Kentucky and want to live near Lexington but not just on top of Lexington, we always look around at the surrounding areas, and Versailles is always a place that comes up whenever I'm having these communications with my clients. So I decided to make a pros and cons video about living in Versailles, Kentucky. Here we go. Hey everybody, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button for me. Just do me a quick favor and just click it real quick. That way it helps get our content out there, especially for people who are researching about the area of Versailles, Kentucky. Now, I know I'm biased because I'm from the area and I live here and I work here, so it's hard for me not to just completely outright brag about everything about Lexington, including Versailles, including Georgetown, including all the surrounding communities. But Versailles is a very, very unique community. And probably the first pro, without doubt, without question, without even an argument of it, you have to talk about Keeneland. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Keeneland is actually the famous horse racetrack that's located here in the area. And it is absolutely, without a doubt, a huge staple of the community. You've got to check out Keeneland. Keeneland is such a cultural icon for the community. It's amazing to go and experience the history and the culture, and they are doing some renovations. They are trying to upgrade their track a little bit, but they want to preserve the historical significance of the location. It is. The little walkway where they showcase the horses, guys, has been there for almost 100 years. I mean, the racetrack is that old. Since opening in 1936, Keeneland has had a unique thoroughbred, unique, I guess, industry here. And I mean, I've worked events at there when I was working at UK, or I should say I was going to UK. And I mean, I've seen horse sales there. Some of the biggest horse sales happen in Keeneland. I mean, more Grade 1 winners have sold in Keeneland than any other facility around the world. For those of you who don't know what a Grade 1 is, Grade 1 would be the Preakness, Belmont, the Kentucky Derby. It's the pinnacle of horse sales here in the world. Some fun facts about Keeneland before we move on, guys. I tell you, I could talk about Keeneland and the fun stuff all day long here in the Lexington area, but Keeneland has a huge, huge barn there. So for those of you, like when you do go and visit, you'll just be incredibly impressed by everything. I mean, they've got 46 barns with 1,600 stalls. So, I mean, they can host some major, major events. Not to mention, the airport is literally right across the road. So, well, first of all, the track was built here before the airport. The airport, I think, was strategically placed for good reason. And we host the Breeders' Cup. For any of you who know anything about horses, that is one of the biggest horse racing events on the planet. And I say on the planet, without a doubt. I feel like the Breeders' Cup comes to Keeneland every like 5-6 years. I mean, it feels like it's always there. And with the fact that you got the airport right across the street, it's really a cool, unique thing. I know we hosted the Queen of England a few times for the event. It's, again, a cultural icon. Fall meets, spring meets are just a must do when you live in the area. We unfortunately missed the fall meet this year. We just missed the cutoff date. We were in the process of moving, so it was just not going to happen this year. But we'll definitely get there for the spring, especially when the weather starts warming up and as we get ready for the Kentucky Derby. I know my wife and I will definitely at least get there out there once. And just to go be encompassed with everybody and the outfits, the glamour, just you truly understand what it means to live in this area and to go to these events. It's being a part of history, and I love it. And I know my wife loves it. My friends, we loved it. And so I hope you get to experience that. Even if you don't move here, you got to come visit here and at least just go check it out. Pro number 2, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to living in Versailles, is the cost of living is actually very, very low. So when you go to buy a home, a $200,000 house in Versailles is going to be very, very different from a $200,000 house located in Lexington. The house will be a little bit bigger. You'll get a little bit more land. I don't know about the quality, it will be better, but I mean, like I said, the money will go further once you cross that Fayette County line and go into the Woodford County line. And that's just, again, I think it's a huge plus when we're talking about relocating, real estate, living, it's cost of living, when it's down compared to the national average and the state average, it's automatically going to be a pro for anybody who's researching about the areas. Pro tip number 3, ladies and gentlemen, I know I talk about it a few times in my other videos. I used to substitute, I used to coach, so I do think about education. I do know that is a important factor, especially with families. If you're relocating from out of state and you have children, you want to make sure they're going to a good school. I can promise you without a doubt, Woodford County has got a great school system. It truly, truly does. And it's ranked, in the top 21 here in the state of Kentucky, and it's ranked number 4 comparing them to Lexington area schools. So when they do the ranking systems, they do include all the surrounding school systems outside of Fayette County. And because Fayette County is a good popular school system, you want to know, are the outside schools ranking pretty well with them? And Woodford County is. I mean, they're number 4 in comparing them to all the other Lexington schools. So you can be confident if you're a parent and you're researching that if you go outside the Fayette County, you're still going to get a good school. You're still going to get a good education. Your kids are going to be in a good environment. And I know that is very important for most parents. Everybody, before we continue, I do want to make sure that I tell everybody here that we are always looking for new clients to help people and to help them with their move here into the Lexington area. Or if you're already here and you need help relocating outside the city, or if you need help with selling your home, please let us know. Hit us in the comments. Shoot me an email. I always leave it in the description box below. We'll set up a consultation and we'll do everything that we can to help you out. I just want to make sure you all know we're always on the lookout. Okay, now we got to talk about the bad side, or I should say the downside. I don't like saying bad side because I love living here. If I didn't like living here, I probably wouldn't be making videos about telling people why they should come here. But I did promise you I would talk about the cons. So first con, easily without a doubt, is the weather. You got to be ready for it. Consistently throughout the year, it's actually pretty good. But when we hit the shifting phase mark with the season, so going from like summer to fall, fall to winter, winter to spring, spring to summer is actually not that too bad. I will say, spring to summer is probably the easiest transition because it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. But we do have probably that late May, early June time period, so about a 3 to 4 week time period where you got to be careful of severe thunderstorms. We do get tornadoes every once in a while. They're rare. They usually are more prevalent in the western part of the state, but every now and then one will touch down. But like I said, they're very, very rare. It's just one of those things that you got to be ready for. Now, summer to fall, it's a little bit more of an allergy thing, and that's what I kind of tell people to warn them about. Once we get those shifting changes, especially going colder, you'll get those allergies, and allergies will flare up, and if you're not used to it yet, it's going to punch you straight in the mouth. So that's one of those things that you have to be ready for. Fall to winter, it's a little hectic as well. The weather, once it's getting colder, going from mildly warm to cold, the state kind of goes crazy. We'll be in like the 50-degree weather 4 or 5 days in a row, and then we'll have a random 75-degree day, and it'll be put downpour rain. So that's kind of the shifting of the fall. Once you get closer into winter stays a little consistent, but it's still messy. So we don't really get those beautiful white Christmases you might see in Michigan or the northern states. So just understand that we may get a snowfall on Monday, but it could warm up by the 40s and 50s. Melt it all, make it slush. It just kind of makes all the cars nasty. The bigger issue that we deal with more times in the winter is ice. We usually get one real bad ice storm every 4 or 5 years. You just kind of have to be ready for it. And in between those 4 or 5 years, we actually get pretty light winters. They're actually not that bad. They're not that cold. Really mid-30s to high 30s, which I know that may seem like freezing to our southern state friends, especially my brother down in Dallas. He can't stand 30-degree weather anymore. So I understand that may not seem that bad, but once you live here for a minute, 30 degrees to 40 degrees really isn't that bad. As long as you got a coat on, you got pants on, you should be okay. Just be ready. 4 or 5 years, you're going to deal with a pretty nasty ice storm. I will say going from winter to spring is still kind of crazy. That's when I describe Kentucky as bipolar. It definitely becomes a bipolar weather state. So you might have 75 sunny on Monday, and this is in like February. Okay, February, 75 degrees, sunny on Monday, and then it'll be like 18 and snowing on Thursday. So just know you're going to need, once we get that late February, early March time frame, you need to have all kinds of clothes ready. You could wear shorts one day and have winter coat on the next day. It's just that's what it is, I'm telling you. And so March, by that third or fourth week of March, it's starting to really hit that stride of spring. And once again, April, showers, bring those Mayflowers, and I've told you guys about May and the severe thunderstorm tornadoes. So that's kind of an encompassing view of what the weather is going to be like here in the Versailles area. So one of probably a bigger con that, well, it's not a big con. This one's unique. It can go either way. If you like small towns, Versailles is going to be a great one for you. Population size of 9,000 people. It is a tiny little town, especially the fact that it's kind of parked right between Lexington and Frankfort, two of our bigger cities here in the state of Kentucky. The fact that it is as small as it is, kind of unique in its own way. But if you hate small towns, you definitely don't want to live in Versailles. It is a country town without a doubt. But again, that goes back to people. If you want a small town, you want to be surrounded by horse country. That's 100% what Versailles is. You'll be surrounded by some of the most beautiful landscapes you'll ever drive around in your life. And that's, again, goes back and forth. Either you like it, you don't. That's kind of leads me to my final con, which is you're going to have to commute. There's not a lot of work out in Versailles. I know they've got some different, they got the school system. They've got a couple of different factories that are out there, small ones. But if you're looking for, state work or a bigger position, you might have to drive 15 to 20 minutes to either Frankfort or Lexington. But that's not that bad of a drive for most people. Even if you live in Lexington, it's probably going to take you 10 to 15 minutes to get to work anyway. So it's similar amount of drive. It's, again, how you look at it. But that, as a con, I could see where some people might be annoyed with. They have to drive a decent time to get to work. So it's how you frame it. It's how you look at it and what your goals are of where you're trying to live. Versailles has so many more pros that I haven't even begun to touch on, ladies and gentlemen. Not to mention the Woodford Distillery, which is one of the most famous bourbon distilleries in the world. And I'm going to touch on bourbon a little bit further down the road in future videos. Ladies and gentlemen, we might even take you on some tours, show you the landscape, just so you could see it. If you've never witnessed or checked out the Bourbon Trail yet, it is an international community, and it's really, really cool that it comes from this awesome state of Kentucky, that we're internationally known, not just in the bourbon industry, but also the horse industry. So if you are thinking about living in Versailles, again, low crime rate. I mean, that's one of the biggest pluses of living in Versailles. Small community, you kind of get to know everybody. You get that small town feel that you see on shows and stuff like that. So if you're looking for something like that, surrounded by beautiful horse country, surrounded by beautiful history, and just a short drive to two of our biggest cities in the state, Versailles might be the place that you need to research more into and check out. If you need help, want to learn more about Versailles, reach out to us, leave us a comment, shoot me an email, and we'll set up, again, a free buyer's consultation, and we'll talk more about Versailles and if it's actually the best place for you and your family when you're looking to make a move. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you got to learn a little bit more about Versailles, Kentucky in this video. If you want to learn more about Versailles or Lexington or any of the other areas here in the central Kentucky, leave us a comment, shoot us a message, shoot us an email, shoot me a text. Just let me know, and I'll be ready to get to work for you here with the Deuce Kirk team, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching this episode of Living in Lexington. Have a great day.